Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on the Flash film. So this week we had the release of the second official trailer for the Flash movie, with that trailer maybe being the final official one we get, proper in regard to length and stuff like that, and all the other stuff from this point forward being TV spots and other smaller pieces of promo material. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that one. But on the same day that the newest trailer was released, there were also some early screenings that took place in various, places around the world, the biggest being at CinemaCon in Las Vegas. And after the screening at CinemaCon, the director for the Flash film, that being Andy Muschietti, did a sit down with some journalists and was asked some questions about what was in the film, but also what was not in the film. And this is where there was a reveal that I'm sort of surprised was so openly talked about, considering I guess people's expectations, and when this hit the internet, it caused quite the uproar. So this is coming from Nerdist, who sort of compiled it all together, who were a part of this Q&A, and this is what they had to say about what Andy Muschietti had to say. Andy Muschietti confirmed his initial assembly was 4 hours long, therefore some choice cameos were left on the cutting room floor. When asked about what characters or moments they couldn't fit in the film, they obliged with a small sampling. The Flash cameos that unfortunately didn't work out included Linda Carter's Wonder Woman from the 1970s TV series, Marlon Brando's Jor-El from 1978 Superman, as well as Burgess Meredith's Penguin and Cesar Romero's Joker from the 1960s Batman TV series. In response to a question from Dorian Parks from Geeks of Color, he confirmed that Grant Gustin almost had a cameo in the film as Barry Allen from the CW's The Flash. Muschietti was very complimentary about what the Flash series accomplished, but unfortunately there was not room to include Gustin's take on Barry Allen. Muschietti said, of course, as I said before, the list of cameos was huge. So obviously we played with the idea of including DC characters from TV, but we just had to pick. Now, the big thing that needs to be stressed that actually I haven't seen stressed a lot, and I do wonder whether it's just because, I guess, not supplying this little piece of information allows the drama to stir. And also, maybe it's because we don't know necessarily how big of a reasoning this is, for why certain things weren't there and what might be included, come the middle of June when the film's officially released. But the film that was shown at both CinemaCon and some other places as well was not the final cut. That was actually stressed by them. And the reason that it was not the final cut was one, VFX wasn't done. That was made clear. And that's one thing they stressed because it's, VFX is one of the things you can really look at and go, oh, that's not looking too good. So they stressed that VFX wasn't done. But also some stuff wasn't included in the cut that they saw to not only contain spoilers, whatever that means, but also surprises, which most seem to think was just the end credits stuff, because if you didn't know, at the CinemaCon screening and other screenings, there was no after credit scenes there. But of course, we're not going to know what was held off from these screenings until the movie comes out in the middle of June, or maybe some of those preview screenings in the week leading up to it, something along those lines. So the whole thing is a wait and see. Now, the big thing is that he says that Linda Carter's cameo and the Grant Gustin cameo aren't there. Now, these were reported cameos from test screenings. They started to not be included, I'd say, in the past 9 months roughly. But some of those earlier screenings of the film, after they, finished the principal production of the movie, whenever it was, a year or so ago, probably 2 years ago now, roughly, something like that, they were included. People said Grant Gustin was in the movie. Now, it was just a shot from the TV show. I think it was from season 6. I think it actually might have been from around Crisis. So season 6 of The Flash. And the Linda Carter one was obviously just from the 1970 show. So they were reported cameos in the movie, but it was also said that they were using placeholders in the certain part of the movie where cameos appear. So they were never fully confirmed at that point, but they were included. So it's very interesting to look into it and wonder why certain cameos survived in the film and why certain ones did not. Because from what's being said, all the cameos that we're seeing are just reused footage or altered footage with de-aging and some CGI and stuff put in there. So I wonder what the decision process was around that. But I would say I don't want to say controversy, but a lot of the chatter that comes out after this, little bit of an interview with Andy Muschietti is the whole thing where it says there was no room for Grant, but there was room for a bunch of other cameos that pretty much have nothing to do with the Flash. Sure, the multiverse, but it's a Flash movie. It's not a multiverse movie, it's a Flash movie. And one of these reported cameos, which I guess is a minor spoiler, but I mean, it's already out there at this point, is I think it's a CGI version or some sort of like, computer generated version of some sort. I don't think they actually filmed anything, but it's like a CGI, which also mixes in like de-aging version of Nicolas Cage's Superman from the cancelled Superman movie that was going to be made by Tim Burton back in the 90s. Something that maybe 1 to 2% of the potential viewing audience would know about, but it's also something that wasn't released. Now, all the other reported ones would be, I guess, noticeable to a decent chunk of the potential viewing audience that would go to see the movie. So not having Grant, but having that Nicolas Cage Superman one, like not even a Flash, but Superman, it doesn't really make much sense. That's what a lot of people are saying. And it makes you really, really wonder whether someone made this decision for Andy Muschietti. Like really, you could argue that if the only cameo that would make 100% sense in this movie would be Grant, because Ezra's version of Barry and his version of Barry have met before, so it makes sense that there would be like a reunite scene in this film as well if there was going to be something along those lines. Now, for me personally, I would not really overly care too much if Grant wasn't in this movie, but there's a big if around this. If there wasn't all these other random cameos that really have nothing to do with the Flash in there as well, like I think it's like, and apparently I won't repeat it here, but the rumored CW connection doesn't make any sense. So if that's in the movie as well, it's a head scratch, which makes you think that someone made the decision that doesn't really understand what the TV show of The Flash was, because Andy Muschietti has watched the show. From what's being said, he loves season 2 of The Flash and he's watched it to its entire thing. So if you know what that rumored cameo is in the movie, Andy Muschietti knows that cameo doesn't make sense that's showing up potentially. So it really makes you think that someone else made that decision not to put Grant in there and maybe even remove some other cameos as well. But yeah, as I said, like I wouldn't really care if Grant wasn't in the movie if those other cameos that have really nothing to do with the Flash weren't there either. And also, they're just past versions of Superman and Batman for the most part. There's nothing really flashy there for the most part. So that's really my issue. And I think it's an issue that some other people have that I've seen as well. But a lot of people just have the issue with all these other cameos, regardless of what the characters are, but not having really the one cameo that makes a lot of sense. Now, here is the big question. I'm very interested to see what people have to say about this, because I did put this up on Twitter and it seemed to be a bit, maybe like a 50, maybe 60-40 split, something like that. And that's, is this a lie? Is this a lie by Andy Muschietti? Is he playing, well, not even playing dumb, but just like intentionally being misleading? And the answer to that is, I don't know, maybe. So I'll bring this up again. As I said earlier, one thing that was stressed, as I said before, was that the movie that was being shown like well before its June release date at various screenings like CinemaCon is not the final version. It's a version from actually I don't want to say a couple of months ago, but there was a picture lock where they had locked the movie recently, and I think this is from before that. But yeah, the one thing that was stressed is that it's not the final version. Obviously, VFX was the main reason in most people's eyes as to why this was stressed and why they made sure to say that. But it's also the fact that they did mention spoilers and surprises, and then after credit scenes weren't involved in these screenings. And maybe this could lean into maybe containing spoilers in other like aspects of the movie, like these scenes that were with certain cameos showing up. So maybe there is a lie dwelling within there, if you want to put it, where maybe it's not that entire cameo sequence is different, but there's another portion of the movie that happens. It's a wait and see, obviously, but I think people might be using this as a way to, because if you didn't obviously know, there was very positive responses coming out from these early screenings. And I do think there is a minor bit of malicious intent as to using this thing where Grant's not in the movie as a way to bog down and bash the movie. Sure, it would have been cool to see Grant in there. Yes, I definitely would love to have seen Grant in there. And he might be. We'll have to wait and see in June when the actual proper movie, fully completed with VFX and everything, comes out. But if he's not, it's just something you have to live with, and it's just, it's not going to change my opinion of the movie. It's just something that you wish you could have seen. But the one thing that I will include as like a last thing referencing this is that I think the term I used a lot was like, I saw disrespect used. I don't know, you'd have to let me know in the comments. Do you think it's disrespect not having Grant in there? Because Grant might have been asked, they might have actually wanted to film something new and he might have said no. Like Grant might have said no. Obviously there is the whole stuff that was going on with Ezra Miller. We don't know, who might want him to do new stuff there potentially. It's hard to tell. The movie had some issues, obviously, while it was being made. So we don't know what happened behind the scenes. So maybe that was a reason. I did see a lot of people bringing that up. But, there might have also been the aspect of maybe them not wanting to do any potential overshadowing of Ezra. I saw people saying that as well, like, because so many people love Grant's version. But then I was like, I think the movie's already being overshadowed to an extent because you have Michael Keaton's goddamn Batman in there. So it's hard to tell what the reasoning would be if they just went out of their way to not put Grant in there. But I feel like this is going to be something that's talked about for a while leading up, because we have so long. We have like, what, 6 weeks pretty much until the movie comes out. And up until that point, everyone's going to be asking this question again because of what's happened over the past couple of days. So it'll be very interesting. Like, as I said, my final thoughts on it are, I'm not too upset about it because it's not going to change my overall view of the movie, because it would have been like a really, really, really minor thing in it. It's more just, I think, acknowledging it and having like a fan moment like that, because these other cameos are obviously meant to be like fan moments. So why would you remove the biggest fan moment potential with having Ezra and Grant meet again? It seems really weird to me. So I have a feeling it's not up to Andy Muschietti, because he follows Grant on Instagram as well, and Ezra said that, you know, that they wanted to follow up on the crisis scene. So I have a feeling that someone higher up, whether it was David Zaslav, I don't think it would have been James Gunn, and Walter Hamada wanted to have them cross over again. So I don't know what the decision making thing was there. It's very weird. The whole situation is very weird. And it just makes me think it's a lie. It makes me think it's a complete misdirect, and come June, we will see Grant in there. But yeah, if not, it makes it even weirder. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Obviously, in the back half of that video, we're just sort of getting like brain bamboozled there because the whole situation just seems weird. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this. Are you disappointed if Grant's not going to be in there? Do you not really care because it wouldn't have changed your opinion on the movie too much because it would have been something so minor? I don't know, let me know your thoughts down there. And as well, also let me know, do you think it's a lie, or do you think this is actually the case? And that that whole sequence of the movie won't change come the end of the, when the movie comes out in June, or they intentionally showed something different so people didn't spoil that, almost 2 months in advance. So I know, let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.